be set free. That's really what it's about. Yeah, but of course I do want to play for you that little bit there.
Why do I have to tell people why I want to be president? I mean, I don't want to hear about their jobs.
These are toxic. I'm going to throw them out. Oh, I've been wanting to ask you. Have you seen how Amy is hovering over Dan? I think they're hooking up.
Dan is not dipping his pen in that ink stain. Plus, she's getting kind of fat in the front. Did you see that?
It is literally all I can think about.
Hey, Gary. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to be president?
To give it to you, of course.
Oh, that's good. God, I know what I want to say, but I can't find the words.
What if you talk and I type? How about that? You just say it out loud and then I'll just type it.
Okay, yeah, let's try that. Okay.
Great. Oh, this is fun.
Well, from the time I was a girl.
From the time I was a pretty girl.
No, not pretty girl.
No.
From the time I was a girl.
Oh, but you're so pretty.
I know. But anyway, I have fought.
Oh, good.
Every day.
So good.
To make America.
A very good place.
Nope, don't finish my sentences.
I thought that's where you were going.
You don't know where I'm going.
To the White House.
You know what I would like to tell people, but obviously I can't?
No, say it here.
I should be president.
Yep.
Because it is my goddamn turn. I was the game changer.
Yep.
I took a dump on the glass ceiling, and I shaved my muff in the sink of the old boys club.
Muff.
But for 3 years, Hughes kept me chained to a radiator in some basement in Cleveland. So, as far as I'm concerned, America owes me an 8-year stay in the White House, and this time I want a war.
Yes! All right. Do you want me to read that back?
Oh, we can't use any of that.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums up what Selena really is kind of fighting for there. Yeah, so back here on the team, there's, of course, little Richard. Richard Splett. I haven't talked about Richard Splett. Richard Splett kind of starts off as a White House aide and really through a series of convoluted steps kind of ends up as the mayor of a small town in Iowa, gets really popular for his kind of just charmingness. Like, he's just a very charming, kind of nice guy who always is a little bit. He's kind of really a political baby. That's a perfect way of describing, like, baby little Richard Splett, kind of ending up as a handy campaign prop for who, by the way, literally does end up creating a baby for Selena Meyer's daughter, Catherine, and her wife, Marjorie. They do have a baby, and of course, Richard Splett, being black, makes a half-black baby, and that is a great political prop for Selena Meyer. Catherine now has postpartum depression. The only way to tell is her haircut, and if you asked her beloved Marjorie, her slightly decreased libido, Andrew is off-screen somewhere running the Meyer Foundation, which, of course, is going to be perfectly great. Andrew, of course, is the ex-wife who is just pretty much a perfect portrayal of Bill Clinton, kind of running a corrupt foundation, whoring around, screwing everybody, right in front of his wife, or now ex-wife, and getting her into trouble and pretty much ruining her political career. So, yeah, Kent has a new predictive algorithm for election results, and all that stuff kind of leads up to the campaigning through Iowa, through Super Tuesday, through New Hampshire, all that stuff. She does it all, makes it to the convention. Yeah, were you all expecting to be kind of emotionally wrecked by this series finale? Because, like, watching it last night, my mind was full. I had trouble going to bed last night. I had to take a step up, kind of go for a little walk and kind of clear my head a little bit, because, like, it was that crazy. Yeah, so now we give you a little bit of what's happening in the show and with season 7. So now I kind of catch you up to just tell you how perfect, I think, and really how deeply depressing this final episode of the show is. So we meet up with Selena at kind of a deadlock 2020 convention in North Carolina, which has some transphobic bathroom bill. Like, what's that about, huh? She thinks she's found her ideal VP, a governor with an injury from Iraq, who is too earnest for this world, and will not last the episode just because of all the scenes where He takes forever to limp through the doors and limp down the halls, and all the consequences of being like, we're this isn't gonna work, right? Like he literally says that almost verbatim. It was like, we're still good with the Veep slot, right? And he's like, yeah. And Selena Meyer's like, yeah, we're good. Well, you're my guy. And then she just immediately turns around and is like, I want to call someone else to be my VP candidate. Like that. If that's not how if that's not how Selena Meyer operates, then I don't know what is. Everybody has to kind of start over, though, with all the delegates up for grabs. When Jonah adds up his delegates with Christian math, he has more than anybody else. So Christian math, Arabic math comes in a big way here. So Roger Furlong, the famously foul-mouthed Ohio congressman who is well known throughout the show for having his assistant named Will just repeat some of the most disgusting, just graphic insults to people, and insult himself for everybody, which only Roger Furlong seems to take a strange pleasure in. He's running the show. He pretty much tells Selena to offer Kemi, the VP slot. Kemi is the second person, so pretty much it's kind of a broker convention. No one got the majority of the ballots between the four candidates that I mentioned to you before, so they will not be getting a nominee in the first ballot. So of course it goes up and ends up being like 11 ballots. Kemi, Selena, the smart move originally for Selena is to offer Kemi the VP slot. Just to end this right there. Basically, anyone who knows anything tells Selena that she needs to team up with Kemi. If Selena wasn't too much of a misogynist to be down with a 2-woman ticket, and if she weren't too proud to just throw her lot in with Kemi, things probably would have turned out so much differently, and probably for the better. Also, Kemi just hates Selena, thinks she's disgusting, and Selena hates Kemi and thinks she's disgusting. So, if she and Kemi were working together, Kemi wouldn't be all over CNN talking about the need for the FBI to reopen up its investigation into that corrupt Meyer Foundation. She could have saved Gary and herself, but Selena refuses, saying, quote, in the words of the great Eleanor Roosevelt, I would rather cheese grater my clit. Selena uses the men's room because it's right there, and in doing so briefly becomes a star for trans rights. This accidental statement of solidarity is barely a blip in the news cycle because of a terrorist attack at JFK, which, as Jonah's luck would have it, was done by the work of a Arabic math teacher. Of course, Muslim math strikes again. Amy delivers the news to Selena, who thought she was doing Jonah a massive favor by offering him head of the EPA. As the EPA was cited as the place where a person could do the least amount of damage. It's just one of the 10 million moments in this episode that just a little bit too real for anyone who's following the current news cycle right now. Amy's aesthetic is now fully strip mall walk of shame. She's overjoyed that Jonah had been denounced by the ACLU and just shrieks shrilly and cackles with power-hungry delight. We're gonna win this thing! Because, of course, Jonah comes out condemning math, condemning anything that just pretty much basically condemning the basic structures of Western civilization. And, of course, the ACLU, not very happy with that. And Uncle Jeff shows up to pretend that he's loved Jonah the whole time, now that he's up there. And famous Uncle Jeff, of course, is Jonah's uncle and also a New Hampshire political power broker. And, of course, he's trying not to sound like he hasn't hated Jonah his whole entire life. Of course, also, by the way, Uncle Jeff says the words, "Shut the fuck up," unlike anybody I have ever heard.
Just got denounced by the ACLU. We are going to win this thing! Yes! Tell me, my boy!
This is Uncle Jeff.
Ever since you were little, I've been telling your mom someday that beautiful, brilliant boy of yours is going to do great things.
I thought you told my mom to sell me to a child molester and use the money to get her tubes tied.
Oh, we're family. Come here, you. You know, the Jews have a word for this feeling I'm having right now. I can't remember it. It sounds like 3 Germans coming real hard inside something that doesn't want them to.
Oh, Jewish is such a beautiful language.
That's not the only...
Of course, that is Jonah's wife, who's also her step cousin or whatever, like some distant family relation, of course, because it's Jonah, and also is probably just as dumb as Jonah is.
Only reason I'm here, I come bearing gifts. New Hampshire's 27 delegates are yours.
Oh, yes.
Uncle Jeff. Give me Vermont.
Yes, this is Jeff Kane.
Sweet talk then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jeff Kane. Who am I speaking with? How's your dad? Shut the fuck up! Listen, you Subaru driving bull dykes. You better back Jonah on the next ballot, or you will be leaf peeping from inside your own maple syrup soaked assholes.
Yeah, a little bit of explicit content there, but Uncle Jeff knows how to go crazy on him like anybody I've ever seen, or unlike anybody I've ever seen before. Yeah. Then, just in the middle of everything, in the middle of all the chaos, Jonah seems to be slipping away with it, but if there is anyone who believes, and of course the nomination still could go to a middle-aged white man who returns to take what he believes is rightfully his. And of course that middle-aged white man is Tom James, Selena's former vice president, political rock star, cool dad, who returns to the race. Just as Ben, as you remember before, one of Selena's most trusted advisors has a heart attack. Ben might need to go into medically induced coma. Tom says, while visiting him in the hospital, quote, "Well, that's what he's always wanted." Tom swings by to check in on Ben and humiliate Selena, kind of do both. She is desperate and so pathetic, she actually clasps her hands to beg him to consider putting her on the ticket, but he is unmoved. Selena is sobbing in Ben's bed when he wakes up and tells her he can't do another campaign. He's tapping out. He's done. Selena looks like she wants to curl up in the fetal position and never get up again, just go right away with Ben. But when Ben tells her she already knows what to do, something clicks inside her. You can hear the music playing. You can hear the villainous turn building. I feel like we saw whatever integrity Selena had just kind of evaporate there in an instant. After giving marching orders to Kent, she turns around and goes up to Michelle, who's Tom's chief of staff and mistress, and like bites the air in front of her face and just pretty much goes crazy on her and insults her in every which way possible, saying that Tom means nothing to you, or you mean nothing to Tom, saying with the epic quote. I highly recommend, if you ever do choose to watch the show, probably one of the best verbal dressing downs in the show. Quote, "Trust me, he will never see you as anything other than the TGI Fridays hostess on Proactive who let him bend you over his desk while you close your eyes to avoid coming face to face with that framed photo of his family trip to Aspen while he drowns your little mermaid back tat in a pool of jizz and admires his own reflection." Gary just goes in the background, Jesus. I hate to see smart women throw away their political careers on powerful men who only see them as the gash of least resistance. Selena adds as she's walking away with the dagger punch, "I mean, you strike me as a smart woman. Are you?" Never say Selena Meyer inspired anyone, because after this bit of little feminism, Michelle goes public with sexual misconduct allegations against Tom James, sinking his candidacy and eliminating one more of the formidable obstacles between Selena and the nomination. From there on, it's just one sellout move after another. To get Buddy Calhoun's endorsement, she promises this frustrated, closeted, self-loathing homophobe that she will outlaw same-sex marriage. She tells a Montana congressman she's ready to frack the federal land in his state to pieces. And then, looking and sounding like she's on the verge of vomiting, she announces that she wants to offer Jonah the VP slot, saying, quote, "Do the goddamn Islamic mass," she says. And for the first time and only time in his life, Kent shouts, "Fuck the numbers." Kent, the soulless, bloodless numbers guy who's going to do anything it takes, whatever the numbers say to win the nomination. Jonah, for him, is just too much. Jonah has become, eventually goes on Selena's ticket into a position of power. Amy, whose conscience has suddenly returned to her body in this moment, literally gets on her knees to beg Selena not to pick Jonah. Selena's argument is based on her own experience, is that being vice president is tantamount to being declawed, defanged, neutered, and ball gagged, I think she also says, and is also a fate worse than death. And anyway, she says, she's not going to die because I've got the heart and twat of a high school cheerleader who's only done anal. Jonah accepts just to get everyone to stop yelling at him after he